just what you think of him at the end there, that coming up with 2 huge
I mean, it's something that we felt like could give us a bit of a jolt, not just from a scoring perspective, but big body. I thought he made a couple of plays just because he's big and strong. He was able to put pressure on the ball. He had 1 steal and they fouled him right after the steal. A bit of a presence in the paint, just having a grown man down there that can absorb contact. And then at the end, you know, he's a guy that's not afraid to take and make a shot. And I thought Book showed great poise throwing it to him. And even when he missed the 1 shot, he went right back to him. And so that's the trust that Book has in the guys on the floor with him, and I think that builds confidence. But to your point, TJ and a few of the guys off the bench gave us a big jolt tonight.
That's what I was going to follow up with. You went with Landale at the end instead of Aiden. Aiden looked like he wasn't happy to be coming out, but I'm just curious what you saw with Jock.
Well, Jock was giving us great energy. I thought his pressure on the rim just in transition opened up a ton of lanes for all of our guys to attack the paint tonight in transition. And then he just scrapped. I mean, you couldn't point out anything that he did from a high-level skill perspective, but he just scrapped. And even when he was guarding Murray or guarding the smalls, he just competed. And, you know, guys have tough games, and DA didn't have his best tonight, but it's great to be able to have your brother out there that can pick it up for you.
Last thing I had was Booker and Durant. You said, hey, need more, you give us more tonight.
No, we didn't talk about needing more. They just knew what we had to do to win this game. You know, Kev is still finding his way and his rhythm. And, you know, he had 39, and that's, if you look at the numbers, that's not a typical Kevin Durant efficient game. And so we still have that to look forward to, I believe. And Book he was amazing. I mean, from start to finish. Had he not gotten his 5th, he might have eclipsed, you know, whatever. You know, I don't even want to get into that, but I just thought it was his will, determination, reading the defense, getting off the ball, and even defensively, just competing. That's something that I noticed when I first came here with him, was he just competes every time he steps on the floor. And so we're just grateful for the win, grateful for all the contributions, and we're going to need it again on Sunday.
Monty, to your point on Kevin, it wasn't the best shooting night for him, but he got to the line a lot. And at the start of the second quarter especially, it seemed like he was determined to do it. How do you like his ability to do that?
Well, I think anytime you're a threat to shoot from range and you can put it down in today's economy, like you have a chance to put pressure on teams that way. And it's twofold for us. We get points and we get to set our defense. And when we set our defense, the first shot defense is pretty good for us. We still got to figure out the rebounding. There were just too many possessions where they seemed like they had 4 or 5 rebounds in one possession, so that increased the margin tonight. But we certainly need Kevin's ability to get to the line in a game like that. You know, we still only had 18, but thankfully we made most of them.
How'd you like the way Terrence and TJ were able to hold up defensively?
I just think that the communication piece is huge for them. When they can communicate what's coming, it helps. Terrence had a flare screen where we gave up a dunk to Murray, and then after that, he realized if I just communicate the switch, we can keep them in front of us. Both of those guys are, you know, it sounds strange, but they're still learning our system, and knowing what to say comes after you learn it. And so they're still learning our stuff. Once they learn it and get it down, especially in this series, I think they'll be able to communicate early.
Coach, I'm sure you're tired of getting asked about this, but with Book, what he's doing offensively and then the effort he's putting in defensively, playing those high minutes, does it feel like he's...
I don't get tired of talking about a guy when he's playing as well as Book is. I mean, I'll talk about it every night, I hope, because that means we're playing well. I do feel better about the rotation tonight because I was able to get him a break at the start of the second. Typically, I'd run him a bit too long, and so he got the quarter break and then the automatic timeout break, and then we can get him back in the game. So this is that time of the year. I mean, Jokic played 41, Book played 41. I mean, the best players are playing high minutes, so that's what it requires this time of the year.
How'd you like the way Campaign pushed the tempo?
It was amazing. I thought his first layup was signature Cam. He missed the one in Denver. And tonight, he was at the rim. Even when he didn't look to score, he was putting so much pressure on them in transition that it's hard to match up. And we needed him. Then Jock's ability to run the floor and get to the rim, even though he didn't get the ball. I thought those two guys opened up a ton of lanes for all of our guys who had the ball or were running in transition to pick up some threes at times.
Brandon.
Monty, obviously you never figure out a player like Jokic over here, but 6 turnovers tonight, and it felt like that was an area where Campaign specifically was making an impact, getting those deflections and steals. Do you feel like that's a ability to play him a few times and sort of know where to look, or what would you attribute that to?
Well, I wouldn't get too happy on the farm when it comes to that kind of stuff with Jokic, just because you don't see him turn the ball over. But I do think we had to be a bit more aggressive tonight defensively to try to get them off of their sweet spots, and you complement that with having high active hands to disrupt their passing lanes. Everybody knows he's one of the best passers in the league, and so if you can disrupt his passing, whether you're big or small, I think it helps guys on the backside. I think there's just too many times where he's at the top of the key or at the elbow, and if you don't have any ball pressure, he's just throwing bullet passes to cutters. If you can get some ball pressure, maybe that helps the guys on the backside in case there's a slip up or miscommunication in an off-ball screen. So I'm just grateful that we were able to put a bit more pressure on them tonight than we did up in Denver.
Brandon.
Coach, can you please share, KD went out in about 3:30 left in the first, and you stopped him as he tried to walk by.
Yeah.
Can you share what you said?
Well, I hadn't been using that rotation, but with Chris being out, I'm trying to stagger as best I can Kev and Book, and so to get him a break. So I want to get Book a break at the end of the first, and then bring Kevin back so we keep those guys on the floor as best we can. It's nothing new. I mean, most teams will do that with their best players.
Monty, you mentioned the other night, Chris being out puts that much more pressure on Book. Why and how was he able to handle that so well tonight?
I mean, I think, one, that's who he is. That's his makeup. He doesn't run from the tough stuff. I've noticed that since I've been around him, but I think putting a few more shooters around him may have helped him, see more space and get to the basket and that kind of thing. But I just think it's his makeup. I mean, he understands not having Chris puts more on his plate, but I don't think he forced it the way that you would think. I think he allowed the game to happen naturally, and then when there was opportunities for him to push the issue, he was pretty efficient.
3 more, Dana, Vince, Nick.
Coach, obviously Jock couldn't stop Jokic at those gaudy, triple-double numbers, but what are some of the things that you saw that you did like in defending against Jokic and
With Jock,
and
I just thought he fought. I thought his competitive edge was what we needed. Nobody stops Jokic. He's a 2-time MVP, but I thought Jock competed every possession. And then when we got the ball, whether it was a rebound or a turnover, he was out. And I thought that put pressure on their transition defense. And so when you play with that kind of effort, I think it allows for you to have a chance against a guy that we know is all world.
Monty, you've been coaching Book for a few years now, and it seems like he's still getting better and still, not necessarily learning the game, but being able to control the game. How have you seen him grow from when you first stepped in here?
I mean, there's a number of areas. I think the continuity in the program helps you look like you're growing, but I think he's always been a really good player. But I think being in our program and the spacing around him on offense certainly helps. But he's in a position now where he's seeing different defenses now in the playoffs. Like every other possession, it changes, but it's nothing new for him. If you look at what he faces every night, I think he's used to it. I think the guys around him really help him when the spacing is there. And then if you have Kevin on the backside, that certainly helps. But he's grown just because of the experiences. He plays winning basketball. We've won a little bit, and he's been in some big-time games. I think that allows for everybody to see his game expand on a big stage.
Last one, Nick King.
Monty, that lineup the last 5 minutes, Book, KD, Jock, Landry, TJ, I don't know if they've played it all together.
Yeah.
Are you cognizant of that, or how much of that is just feel in the moment?
It was just the feel. It was, what can we do to compete and be physical on defense, get some athleticism on the floor. TJ gave us another big body to rebound, and then the spacing to give Brooke and Kevin room to operate. And having guys who are not afraid to make plays, especially when there's 6-7 seconds on the clock. And so, no, we haven't used that lineup, but that's what playoff basketball is. Sometimes you fall into something, and it could be a different lineup next game.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.